Oh, hello. This is Dirty 20 Gaming. My name is Kevin, and for the final time with this group of people, we are here to play a game tonight. This amazing group of people signed up for 10 to 12 weeks. That's what I told them. I looked them right in the eyes and said 10 to 12 weeks, quick adventure, Venice. We weren't even supposed to leave town. Over a year later, here we are.
Florence, not even.
Florence, yeah.
Florence.
Yeah, weren't even supposed to leave Florence. That's the one we weren't supposed to leave that we haven't been to in so long that I forgot what it was called. Anyway, here we are a long time later and a much changed group. But before we start, let's talk to the players that have been playing them. Take a little extra minute tonight and tell us about your own self. Let's start with the Waywardest of Knights. S'il vous plaît.
Ah, damn it. Okay.
You had your I'm invisible face on, and I just no.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm Chris, aka Wayward Knight, and I play Felicity Caldwell here on Dead to Rights for, I guess, the last time tonight. I also run our Buffy the Vampire Slayer TTRPG called Grave New World on Mondays. I'll be coming off hiatus not this Monday, but next. And I also do things. I sell art on the internet. I have a podcast. It's called Professional Questers, where I interview people in the TTRPG community about the characters they play. Then I flip the script and I interview the characters themselves. It's really fun. You should give it a look-see or listen-see. That no.
Sure. Make up words.
Sure.
Sound confident. They'll stick.
And there's my links. You can find it all there. That's it.
Perfect. Okay, let's just go around the circle. Bison_Stonefist.
That's me. I'm Bison Stonefist. Tonight I will be playing for the last time Sid Brimlock, our engineer. That doesn't mean I'm gone though, because apparently I have no life. I spend a lot of spare time here. On Mondays, you can catch me playing Jack. Fall off the wagon this time again. Aldridge. In our Buffy the Vampire Slayer TTRPG Grave New World. That's a lot of fun. On Tuesdays, I run our Cyberpunk Red campaign, Carnage Heights. Please check that out. It's a lot of fun to play. It's a lot of fun to write. My players keep telling me I'm doing a good job. I'm going to assume that they're not lying to me. And on Thursdays,
here's the secret. I'm going to interrupt you. If they keep coming back, they're enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
There's a whole fucking world of things they could be doing, and they're choosing to come and play in your game. You're doing it right. Continue, please.
Yes. And finally, on Thursdays, I play Encino, the Dragonborn Paladin Ranger, who is dragging the rest of the party to heroism, whether they like it or not, on our Fool's Gold campaign, King's Pirate. And that's it.
All right. Well, there's no surprise left. It's got to be Chorus.
Oh, but there was that black square, you know, to do a tribute to.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Karis. I am a Minecrafter, and I'm hoping to get back into streaming and or maybe recording as energy permitting. And when I'm not doing that, I am plotting dark and dastardly and twisted sort of role-playing.
Excellent. Those are my
favorite. Yeah, what you're seeing right now from Charis is an act. Yeah. The sweet, kindly, lovely person. That's all an act.
Follow the cookies and ignore the spiders in the corners. That's all I'm going to say.
I have a cookie emote.
There's one there. Yes, there's one there. Which brings us around to me, and usually I just blow through this part and start the game, but I'm not gonna, because it's probably going to be a couple, 2 or 3 weeks yet, because I never rush anything. But we got a new game coming to Saturday nights. We got a new system that we're going to be using. It's called Rapscallion. It's pirates. It's going to be yeehaw, really silly fun. And for those of you that know the folks in our Discord, hint, you should join our Discord. Sans, otherwise known as Sarah Gloriosa, Luna, also known as Sangra Luna, our newest friend Dusty Penny, who's just joined the channel, and Mana Queen, all in one game. as pirates, I am in so much trouble. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. I got all the goblins, and we're going to go wild. So, tune in. Yeah, welcome to the Thunderdome. Yes. I, I can just see myself. This is a bad day to stop taking mushrooms. Anyway, let's do
Are you
this
gonna
game.
notice the difference?
Because
with that crew and that premise and the teasers you've been giving us all week?
Yes. Speaking of which, there is a tutorial at the moment. The VOD is up on Twitch. Either later tonight or tomorrow, it will be going up on the Tube of You. So if you want to see how to play Rapscallion, I think, because I had no, it's my interpretation of it. If I got something wrong, the fault is mine. But see the system that we're going to use. It's different because it's a little crunchier than what I would normally play, but the way it's built has me thinking that it's going to work. It's going to be something I like.
It's a nice crunch.
It is. What it is organized. It's all links and tags, so it's all it reminds you what to do in every step of the way. So there's none of the
This is Dirty 20 Gaming. Do we do that?
I know this is one of the challenges for myself. The other challenge is
But usually we just toss, we read it over, we get the feel for it, we're saying, okay, we know what we're doing, we get started on the story, and then we throw the rule book away and tell the story.
I like that mechanic and the rest, yeah. But yeah, that can't work with this. You can't rip this system down. It is all of a piece. That's part of the challenge. One more thing I'm going to say about it before, well, we'll see exactly. But one more thing I want to say about it before we get back to this game is what the other challenge I've set for myself with this is to run 2 games of it. Different nights of the week that are dramatically different genres. So the first one, the one that I just talked about, is sort of in my head, sort of a Robin Hood meets Pirates of the Caribbean, that level of fun. The other one is a Pirates versus Zombies survival game. That's all I'm saying for now. If you're interested in that, go to the Discord and look under wanting to play. I think it's called something like that. Let's do the thing.
Sign up to play.
Warning, that second game will include dismemberment.
No, A+.
All right. Let's do this. I'm actually going to start with somebody that is here, and then we're going to real quickly cut away to somebody that isn't, and then back. Because Allegra, we find you, if I remember correctly, as the sun is coming up after a very long night, if I remember, alone in the quiet, sort of in a little alcove of this huge mansion. And as you settle down and put the canes to one side and sort of try and make yourself comfortable, as you look out the window, as the sun rises, you see lettering on the side of a nearby mountain. And in great big letters, it says, "Sorry for any confusion. Please be nice to each other."
Artemis got to them. And actually, I'm sitting, I've got my canes, kind of cradled in front of me, and I'm sitting kind of to the side, so I'm, looking out the window at an oblique, because I'm on the ground floor, so, someone casually looking in wouldn't notice if anybody was looking in at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it is.
Yeah. It's literally the sun coming up, and in my head, it's white rocks against a sort of tan, sun-drenched hillside. And as the sun comes up, it makes them all sort of red and kind of creepy for a minute.
And I probably can hear Sid's laughter over that.
You can also hear the tinkle-tinkle of someone very loudly carrying a tea tray behind you.
Very, very.
Do you turn and look?
No, I don't turn and look. I'm sitting here very still thinking, I'm not here, thoughts. I'm not here. I'm not here.
Don't perceive me.
Yeah. Right beside you, totally not a word spoken, but right beside you on the small little side table, a very elegant tea set is set down by a less than elegant hand. you can. There's only so many people that would be up at this time of the morning, and there's certainly only so many of them that would be making tea. Without even looking, it's almost certainly the cook from downstairs. And they just pour from this is the good china, like this is not staff china. They pour a cup, they pour another cup, they put the coffee, the kettle down, not kettle, the teapot down. They take their cup and back out of your view, leaving you with your fresh warm cup of tea by the window. You heard a loud slurping behind you.
I'll turn in. Good morning. Come sit with me.
And she smiles and comes around the other side and says, "Don't mind if I do. It's not often I get to put my tushy on the cushions." And she settles in. She's from downstairs, right? The chairs are made of wood. She settles into this other end of this sort of divan and kind of looks out the windows. What are you looking at?
Inside of my head, mostly.
That explains the look. Sip.
Look?
There might as well be curtains over your eyes. Look again. You kind of become aware. The whole front yard is full of people. Verite and Stefano are working on our third or fourth palanquin. And I know he said, the cricket-legged one, it's done, and it's a little freaky, but the one right behind it kind of has horse legs, and the one behind that they're all different animal legs, and in a row, it makes sense. But they're fixing cars in the front yard and nobody's fussing with them. There's staff running thermoses of coffee and tea out to them. They're taking bakery goods out to them. All the social rules are being broken, and no one's doing a damn thing about it. And even as you look up to see the words on the hillside again, below that you can see smoke coming out of chimneys. There's people living in the houses down by the sea. She says, "See, that's why you should open your eyes and really, really look. Inside your head is for when it's dark out." And she sits back and very inappropriately kicks her big work boots up onto a little ottoman. And she's still holding her tea like this, but yeah. 2 fingers out. It's really serious tea.
Yeah. Big out must be bad.
It's a pretty morning.
She just sits there and absorbs the morning with you.
And Allegra, after a time, kind of smiling at all of that. And then she gets kind of a sad look and kind of deflates a little bit, pulling her crutches a little close.
She reaches over and refills your tea. And she says, "But..."
I'm sorry?
"That's all very nice. But..."
It's just everybody has something to do. I don't have anything to do. I mean, these people. I mean, they rescued me and they let me come along, and it's been really cool. I've had a front row seat, but
the little teacup comes over in a very sort of like cheers me sort of way. They want to clank teacups. Tink. She says, Don't beat yourself up because you're already done. Just sit back and enjoy it.
I'm sorry, what?
To quote a very, very, very old song, and she looks out the window again, she says, "The lunatics are on the grass. No one's stopping
I
them."
wouldn't call them lunatics.
I know them.
but
Every single one of them. Living understairs makes you crazy. But the point is, understairs is on the front lawn. She points at the Lemvillians, and they're not standing in 4 rows of 3. They're actually spread out and talking to people. They're very, very proud of the palanquins. They're giving free palanquin carrying lessons to people that want them. But it's like a market on the front lawn of the Caldwell Manor, and no one's doing anything about it. In fact, they're just piling in.
Yes, I see that.
And there was a letter at the front gate this morning requesting 175 invitations.
Invitations to what?
And I'm quoting here, social gathering of the century.
Oh. Where's that gonna be?
She did that slow creaky neck thing. And she looks down the stairs here.
I'll get out of the way. I'll get out of the way. I can go upstairs or
you don't nope. And she's like, if you try and move, she's gonna try and take your canes. Like you're not getting away from this.
And she looks blankly. She's just absolutely not putting the pieces together.
And she puts down the cup because she needs both hands now. She says, "All those nice people in the white robes with the wonderful thoughts and no calluses on their fingers that you met the other day, they all want to come. A very nice young lady who is, by the way, more smitten than any human being I have ever seen in my life." And then there's another group that seemed to be... It's like watching a zipper close with these people. It is the oddest thing I've ever seen. But between the two groups, they want over 100 invitations to tonight. And then there's... They insist on calling themselves the Lemvillians. They have a dance they want to do. There's somebody here who said they are a professional gambler. And there's another fellow outside carrying an entire big box full of toys on his back that wants to see you.
How would that person have heard of me? I'm sorry. Karis
knows
who that is.
Famous.
Allegra doesn't. Allegra doesn't have any idea who that is because Allegra wasn't there for that.
But they're all the point that they're trying to make is whether you intended it or not, you have become the social secretary for this event.
But I don't. Wait, what? I don't.
And she reaches into her uniform and pulls out a flask, and she says, "On the mornings that are a little overwhelming, sometimes I like some reinforced tea. Would you like
Yes, please."
And she
yes, please.
pours in about an ounce of just clear liquor. Oh. Right? It doesn't even change the taste; it just evaporates in your mouth. Right? And she says, yes, well, it turns out, dear," and she kind of grins and kicks her feet back up again. She says, "There's a skill that I thought I had nailed, but she brings her feet down again, and she says, "Bow
You've
at
got
the
all sorts of skills. Your kitchen is so well run."
"Yes, but I have to tell people what to do."
Yeah, that's usually how it's done, right?
And there's just a big, slow head shake. She says, "Think about it. You didn't tell any of these people to come."
Well, no, of course I didn't. Why would I? I'm not in a position to tell people to come or go anywhere.
You didn't need to.
Wait. Are you saying that surely not?
Yes. And what I'm saying is, what are you going to wear to the party tonight when they mob you with their universal love? Just so you know. And she pours herself a shot and puts the lid back on and puts it back in her uniform.
No pressure.
Surely not.
She kicks her feet back up and she says, you know, it's good to be able to hide in the kitchen.
Can I hide in your kitchen?
No. They'll come and get you.
That was the first place I hid here when we came here with Felicity. The first place I hid was the kitchen. Kitchens are wonderful places to hide in.
They are, and you can come over after the party tonight, but not before. Because they're going to follow you, and I'm not having all of them in my kitchen.
Oh my.
She looks very pointedly at your canes and says, your days of running away from people are over, Missy.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope you like the throne they put you on. And then she pulls out the flask.
I had one made of hay. I had one made of hay a few weeks ago that was kind of actually nice.
They were probably practicing, and I think some of them are here too. And she puts the flask on the table beside your teacup and says, I've got 7 hours to cook so many cakes that look like so many people. That's one of yours too.
What? How on earth could that be mine?
Pastries, I think they're called.
But I was Allegra was in the barn for all of that.
But you came back down. You saw them afterwards.
Yeah,
so
that's
you
right.
At
She
least
did
would
see
have
some
known what
afterwards.
they are.
Some afterwards. It's like, but I wasn't even there for that. How can that be me?
And she just grins and says, it's because you don't have to say anything, dear. You just have the ability to want something to be done. And it gets done.
Can I want this all to go away?
Yes, as soon as it's done.
Oh dear.
Monkey paw.
Okay. I think I need a minute.
I'm sure you do. And I have to go get 9 grannies out of my fucking kitchen. And she heads down the stairs.
I've heard they're very determined.
They are baking in my kitchen as she heads down the stairs.
Do you need some reinforcements?
Myself.
And you just hear and you hear some very under the stairs swearing as she stomps down to deal. I mean, she's gonna deal. She just couldn't deal when she wasn't
very
there.
capable.
Yeah.
As an aside, have you heard Italians swear? It's one constant stream.
It's a story.
Of verbiage.
Yeah, it's a whole story. So, with the world a swirl.
Yeah, Allegra needs some time to deal with that.
Okay, so I will take that cue the second time I got it, and we'll cut away. Sid. You, it's morning, sun's up, Sid's up, right? Sun, yep. Steam, and Sid all start at dawn. You open up the windows, you see the apologies and be nice to each other in the rocks. You laugh out loud.
It actually takes him a little bit before he sees it, because when Sid wakes up, he starts doing paperwork.
Oh.
Contracts, labor negotiations, all that muckety muck white collar crap that he's been avoiding since he turned 16.
Yeah.
Push-ups.
Push-ups. Um, and yeah, you're not good at it, so it's annoying. And for some reason, you didn't get tea this morning. You're just it's like yesterday's the dregs are still sitting there on the counter.
Mm. He makes do. He has his forge hammer. He reheats the dregs. He knows how to make tea.
Oh yeah,
He knows how to make hangover tea. This is hangover tea.
there's hangover tea. Yep. And then you look out the window.
Ah!
You got that
Ah!
little bitty balcony on your room, right? Because we put it there
Mhm.
before. Are you stepping out onto that? He asked leadingly.
He is, yeah.
Okay, just to get a bit, if nothing else, to get some fresh air and maybe blow. As my wonderful mother used to put it, get outside and blow the stink off. But yeah, you step out and you see the chimneys as well. There's fire. There's smoke coming out of chimneys, not out of the streets where the fires were. People have moved in, and because you've stepped out on the balcony, you can look down and you can see that somebody, somebody, has started a mural that starts at basically where the ship landed or would land at the port, and just goes all the way along one side of a row of buildings. You see that on the other side of that street is where people have moved in. So when they look out their windows, they see vines and images of palanquins and like your whole story is sort of like the Bayou Tapestry down this street. It's blocks long.
They've been busy.
Um, at that moment, because I'm checking boxes over here to make sure that the story works for the person who isn't currently here too. As you look down, there's the row of palanquins that I talked about before with all the different legs on them,
Mhm.
some weirder than others, and you see Stefano pokes Verite and then points at the sun like he's showing him what time it is, and the two of them go over to a sandbagged bunker basically, and you see them go in and you see them both come out very carefully carrying wooden boxes marked explosives and go heading down into town.
I am not trusting those two alone with explosives. Sid drains his teacup,
Yep.
finishes one tiny bit of calculation on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
He's thinking about it. Throws on a shirt and just boots it down.
Yep.
To the.
They're going slow because they're carrying stuff. As you get down, they're just loading them into the Orchid Mobile. Right, the most fragile piece of tension wired thing that has ever existed, and they're loading two big boxes of what turns out to be black powder and some other strange chemicals.
If you don't mind my asking, what in the bloody hell is all of that for?
First, say something when you sneak up behind somebody that's carrying explosives. That's Stefano. Verite just puts it in the back seat and turns around and says, "Fireworks, we're not supposed to tell anybody." And he starts to climb into the car. Stefano looks at him and says, "What was the last part of that?" And Verite says, "We're not supposed to tell anybody." And he gets in the car and sits down and starts to pump the pedals.
All right. And he looks at Stephanie and is like, I want you to be very, very clear here. If Verite tells you not to do something with this, you bloody well not do it. Because I don't want to have to pick up parts of you all afternoon.
And he leans in like he's going to share the biggest secret in the world. And you can smell a little bit of alcohol from last night still on his breath. And he does that raspy whisper thing where he says, "Big secret. I don't want to die." And he very carefully straps the cases into the back of the Orchid Mobile and then climbs into the front with Verite.
Yeah, he waits. Sid waits until he's done strapping on and claps him on the shoulder. He's like, "Good man. All right, I'm off to strangle some breakfast."
Oh, breakfast. We should get some breakfast. And you just hear from inside, "You can't eat dynamite." And the thing starts to roll as they head down the driveway.
Really hope that thing doesn't blow up. Heads back inside.
And you see it too as you turn around to head back inside. The yard is full of staff. Like this, it's not supposed to be like this, right? It has changed dramatically in very short order.
Sid's actually like a little off put by that.
Yep.
He's used to not being bustle in the morning. He's used to being the bustle.
A
So
lot
he's
of
kind of
these
like,
people have been up all night. You can see, and as Verite and Stefano leave, you can feel the energy just droop. The two of them have just been driving these people all night, right? It's cool being part of a really cool project, but the boss is gone now. Maybe I'm a little bit tired, but yeah, they're at that moment as you roll in.
oh, we're gonna have to get the cook to make more coffee.
And they're almost as you say it, they're coming out with thermoses and they're throwing blankets out on the ground and setting up like breakfast on the blankets and
At least someone was thinking. Explosives, fireworks. Has there even been fireworks since we left?
you saw them. You saw them in
yeah, that's right.
Libertyville.
The America theme park.
Yes. Yeah. Meanwhile, yeah, he wants into the guy with all the stuffies. That used to be money. Well, he had the power hitting box. I forget what his name was.
I think it was Ted, for short for Teddy.
Yes, for Teddy. Yes, and then he was called Fierce Ted or something, even though he wasn't. Something like that. Anyway, he's coming too. But the mutter that you hear, if nobody's asking about it, like nobody's calling people on what's going on, but the phrase you keep hearing over and over again is "getting ready for the party, getting ready for the party."
Sounds like Felicity's got something planned.
So
Goes
Sid,
to look for some breakfast, I think.
yeah, you go find when you get back up to your room, there is breakfast there now. A very simple sort of business breakfast that isn't going to spill on the paper, right? No sauces. And your tea's in a cup, and it's over there, not on the table with the paperwork. Somebody knows what they're doing. But as you get back in and look outside again, you see where's my notes? Where's my notes? Oh yes. You hear a sound. It's so ingrained in you that it's like your heartbeat, except you haven't heard it since Florence blew up. It's the clang, 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 clang of somebody building pipes, of somebody putting a pipeline together, of somebody building boilers.
Sid's like over in the corner with the food, just kind of standing there, having something quick before he goes back to what he was doing.
Yep, there's not even a chair by the table that the food is at. Like somebody's.
No, he's not
you,
even. He's not even sitting. He's just standing beside the chair, beside the food.
Yep.
And he stops when he hears it. And he very carefully puts everything down, and he walks back out to the little balcony. And he closes his eyes and he just listens.
And it's so far over there. And it's one work crew. It's like the first move in civilization, right? It's like you got one guy going doink, 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 doink with a hammer, right? That's yeah. It's that noise. It's so simple. When you open your eyes, and yes, you can tell when they missed the rivet. Doing, 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 doink.
Bang.
Yeah, doing, 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 and back on. But whoever's doing this has got the rhythm, right? This is not some kid that just learned today. This is probably one of Senior's friends. Like this, because he was bragging how he had all these friends that were good at this sort of stuff. And yeah, you can hear it. And as you can smell the heated metal. That only happens if, and you can't help yourself, your eyes open and you see it. The steam coming out of a chimney.
We did it.
And then you hear because it's how you test the system. And it
Yeah.
just goes on and on and on. And when it stops, every rooster, every dog, every donkey, every duck in town just it just freaks out because it's a sound they've never heard.
It's like a car alarm going off.
Yeah. And it's just accompanied, of course, by that vent of steam that
Yeah.
you can see.
Sid's just basking in it.
Does it change things when you remember it's called the Brimlock Works?
There's like a microsecond of pants shitting terror,
Yep. Yep.
realizing that it's all on his head this time. And then he hears his dad's voice for the first time in years. But that's what you've been trained for.
And you hear your mother's voice say, "Welcome to the top floor, Sid. You've always deserved it."
I'll do my best, Mom.
"You always did, dear." And you turn to look and you see she reaches out her arm, something she would, I don't think, would ever have done in real life. And he takes it, your dad takes it, and she pats him on the arm and says, "We're done, dear." And they turn and walk through the wall. And
Sid kind of like,
you hear from the other side of the wall, "We're still here, dear." But they're not going to be
Yeah.
in, you can't see them anymore. They're that yeah.
And he just sort of chuckles and he's like, "Well, I've got work to do. You're going to be bored." He sits back
down. As you sit back down, while you were out, not only did breakfast get put over there, but clearly Stefano has been in your room very, very briefly, because it looks like just a pile of pipes and fittings on right on top of your workstation, and an itty bitty little steam engine that clearly Verite made. And then there's just a question mark written on your blotter. It's a puzzle. He's left this little steam puzzle for you to build.
"Well, this is certainly more enjoying than what I was up to." And he sort of moves some stuff aside.
Yeah.
Pulls out a few like small working tools.
Yep.
And he starts to get to work. He starts to
it's
solve the puzzle.
fiddly and bendy. I was gonna say make a play, but I told you we weren't gonna have to make any plays tonight. It takes you a while. I'm just gonna say it takes you a while to figure out why it looks so familiar. It's like a deconstructed Verite mini automaton, except it's a whole bunch of them, and it's all of you. The four of you, Stefano, Verite, Terrence. It takes a second to figure out some of the other ones, but there's people there from Florence that you knew. There's people that you met along the way. There's one that's like a tall female figure with a whole bunch of tiny little female figures behind it that all move when she moves, right from the mansion. It's an entire kinetic sculpture, steam-powered kinetic sculpture. Coes is there too. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, Sid, he makes them. He sits there and he smiles, takes the steam engine and applies it to the Fatima one, just because he thinks that one's the most entertaining. Watching the little line of
yeah
kids
it
follow
marches.
after.
It's like one of those the cars that you put the cog in and it does a pattern on the floor. It's kind of like that, and it does it, and they just follow around behind her. It looks like a game of Centipede. You know, it's the Stefano and Verite ones. They don't appear to do anything until you put them near each other, and there's magnets on them, and they just sort of grapple and wrestle and just sort of slap fight each other when they get close.
Yeah, he probably spends far too much time playing with these toys. Because if I'm going to be honest, so would I. And yeah, does every little one. He notices that the Sid one's a little creaky on one side, and it kind of
Definitely
adjusts it.
intentional. Yeah, there's
Yep.
no question about it. That was Stefano going.
He
Verity
knows
doesn't
about
make
the ribs.
mistakes, right? So yeah,
And by the ribs.
by
yeah.
the ribs.
And yeah, he kind of misses breakfast proper
Yep.
as a result, but he doesn't really find a problem with that. So yeah, he spends the next couple of hours playing with his new toys and reminding himself that he's an adult now at damn near 40.
And speaking of which, when you get to that point where you can no longer reasonably say, I'm not quite finished, that they're all done. They're all been done. You played with all of them repeatedly. You hear that noise behind you of staff making enough noise and that you let you know they're there.
Turns around.
And I don't think you ever met the tailor yet, but there is an extraordinarily well tailored gentleman in front of you. I mean, everything fits. There are no creases. There's no nothing. It looks like they look like a mannequin, except they're moving. And he looks at you and he says, I have been informed by no less a source than the lady of the house, several ladies of the house, in fact, most of the people in the house, inform me that the chances of you having formal wear are somewhere between 0 and 0. Would that be correct, sir?
We have been traveling for over a month. So, yes.
I understand, sir. I do have one question, and you can see he's grinning, but there's a little bead of sweat running down the side of his face.
Mhm.
And he says, is sir allergic to anything with, armpits? And he just, and he looks like he's about to flee, like he's afraid you're gonna thump him. Because you specifically said you threw on a shirt and went out and did this. So this isn't just a Sid shirt. This is a dirty, wore it 3 times already Sid shirt that you are wearing. You are not in a position to argue at this point, but yeah.
Sid, he kind of stammers for a bit, and he's like, no. It's just more comfortable this way.
Yes, sir. I'm here to tell you the next 12 hours of your life have nothing to do with comfort, sir. If you would be so kind, and he does the thump behind him, and several assistants start rolling in mannequins with Sid. There's like lace sleeves and buttons that go all the way up to the boots, go all the way to the fucking knees. There's 2 people polishing them while they're rolling them into the room. Like this is ultra high maintenance. Yeah. There's hats. For some reason there's 3 shirts hanging on each mannequin, and you realize that until he starts showing you that you could wear any one of those 3 with each one of these outfits. None of them look comfortable. A lot of them look sort of exposy, especially in the leg department, because we're going with hose here.
Yeah. Sid's honestly speechless, and he says, okay, you're a craftsman.
And
a man who works with his hands, who's trained. This is very good at his job.
Yep. He turns on you like someone who realizes he's about to engage in verbal sparring. Yes, sir.
I am also a craftsman.
Indeed,
and I would like to see my work represented.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of like looks past the tailor at the... It's durable because it's supposed to be, but it's still a very, very nice apron. They were kind of pointing him to be like a sub builder. So, I mean, It's not like, it's like, is there any way you can work around that? If we're going to a party, I want to look my best.
For a moment, he looks at you like you pooped in his cereal. And then he says, did you honestly think, sir, that I wouldn't have aprons aplenty for you. We're choosing the suit first, sir. He's doing
You
that
know
thing
the
where he's...
anime
y-
nerve twitch?
Yep, yep,
It's like four red
yep,
lines.
yep,
Yeah. That nerve starts to like form at Sid's temple,
yep.
and he's just like, "Mm, fine, fine, let's get this bloody over with."
And as you, I mean, you've got it. You know, there's a choice, 4 or 5 different outfits. He grins at you and he says, "If you think this is difficult, sir, wait till we get to choosing cod pieces." And he this
The what? Sorry.
a joke, sir, a joke, sir. Then he stops and looks at you again, like he might get hit, and he says, "A tiny joke, sir." And he scurries away to get behind a mannequin.
You're enjoying this, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I believe it's called freedom, sir. We didn't have much of it before 2 days ago. Is it too much? Have I gone too far, sir?
No, it's all right. Just been a while since Coas has been around. I'm not used to snark.
Oh, is there someone who could teach me? I'm thinking of opening a shop where I'm very, very insulting to people.
There is a market for that, but let's get the bloody clothes over with.
And is it a fair guess to say that Sid tries to pick the least ostentatious outfit?
Without a doubt.
Okay. The least ostentatious is black on black on black. And some of the piping, you realize, has had some help from the lads because there are little things on it that are steam powered. Like your epaulets can be made to go and stand up. And yes, there are epaulets. They're black on
From
black.
0 to 90s.
Yeah, just like a brake, like an air brake, or spoilers on the wing of a plane. Yeah, there's a couple of features like that, but yeah, it's hose and the doublet and the vest and the whole deal. I'm probably breaking timelines, and I really don't care. I just want to put Sid in
Yeah,
this incredibly uncomfortable outfit.
Yeah, it takes a while, and then Sid tests the tailor's skill by breathing in deeply once it's all in.
Like it fits. Like you can see in the polished silver mirror, it fits, and when you breathe, it moves. You can feel like little vents opening and closing in places. It's designed, and he just looks at you again like he's mortally insulted that you would even try to pop a stitch.
You understand I've been wearing canvas my whole
yes.
life. Canvas and leather.
Yes, and in
I'm
which
used
case
to
I would have
this.
thought you understood gussets. Shall we look at the aprons?
What the bloody hell is this thing made of? And he like flicks a little like lace frill at the.
He reaches over and takes it in his fingers, and takes another piece of it in his other fingers. And you see him pull with all of his might, and nothing happens to it. He says, "I made this, sir, out of fishing net. Because I knew someone would try and unpick it."
You see it, or the tailor sees a genuine like flash of being impressed. Like Sid was literally taking the screws to him.
Yep.
And yeah, he's legitimately impressed.
And he looks at you and says, "So, now that we've got you shoved into that, and looking, I might say, presentable, something about the hair and the stash needs a bit of a trim, but other than that, let's look at aprons, shall we?" And more mannequins roll in. And you really
The 2 days rough.
Yeah, exactly. You haven't shaved since at least yesterday. So and the tash has got like yesterday in it, right? A lot of stuff happened yesterday. There's some stuck in
He
there.
got drunk yesterday,
Yes.
so yeah.
So the mannequins roll in, and they're, as a craftsperson, There's no other way to put it. They are artworks. It's kind of a shame you can only pick one. There's one that's done in cloth of silver, one in cloth of gold, and one in cloth of platinum. But they're all over leather. But it's like calfskin leather. It's this combination of workable and tough, just like the lace he just showed you, but also stunningly formal. The imagery of yours from Florence is all like stitched in embroidery. The whole thing sort of shimmers like it's in candlelight, even when it's not.
Sid takes the one in silver because that's the one that's got the Florentian influence.
Yep.
Just a reminder of where he came from.
Yep. I think it goes best with the black anyway. But yeah. So he pops that on you and makes a few absolutely unnecessary adjustments. I mean, it is perfect. How he measured you and when he measured you, it's probably best not to think about. But he has like everything fits perfectly. Maybe he's got the magic eye, but either way, it is absolutely perfect. And he finally looks you up and down, holds his hand up like that to cover your face. Looks again. That will do. Now, please get it off before you get it dirty.
Just does his best. He knows he's going to need help for some of it. But,
oh yeah, because there's 42 buttons on the waistcoat, and one starts at the bottom, one starts at the top, and they meet in the middle 7 minutes later. But it's formal wear. Didn't have to be dirt resistant. They're hoping to get him in and get him out before he pours anything on himself. But with that, they everything wraps up and they leave. Sid, I'm presuming you put on a robe or something when you disrobed, or you're standing in your room in your drawers.
Yeah, boxers and a bathrobe.
Yeah, it's Sid. Okay, so yeah, they've left. You said it. You were drinking last night. All the fancies left the room. You kind of, and there's some sleep in your eye, and you just stopped an explosive. Was it the good idea to let them go?
Probably not.
But with all that swirling in your head, you turn around and look out the window.
Time for day one. He starts off with a shower.
Okay, perfect. And that's where we'll leave you. So that means there's only one of the people that's here left. Felicity. 2 parties in 2 days. Neither of one you had very much input. Like you got to let your hair down at one, and you got to pick dresses. But tonight is all about you. It's your plan. Staff is buying in to everything that you do. There was a very stiff, formal message from your mother that said that in the face of all tradition, staff members have asked me to, and I quote, keep my nose out of this. Do enjoy your party. I'll see you tonight, Mother. The uprising happened fast.
Felicity.
This is the last episode. I had to have this happen in a hurry.
No. Felicity kind of swallows a bit okay. Yeah, so she worked with the butler. I remember that.
Yep.
Basically she wants to not necessarily throw tradition out the window, but demonstrate that it's not the only efficient or effective method of doing things. And so she wants to prove that that things can be more relaxed and more less staunch, less hoity-toity, less complex.
Okay.
And basically kind of pare down the system to bare bones before it gets built up again. And so she wants to deconstruct. That's the word. That's a really good word for it. She wants to deconstruct the sort of weird tenets of this city
Yes.
and show people the core things that are important. So she wants to deconstruct this dress code bullshit.
Yep.
She wants to deconstruct the hyper formality
Yep.
of events like this, and she wants to emphasize people
Yep.
and what people can bring to this thing that we're rebuilding.
This partay. Yes. So, how about we go sort of step by step through the process of
Okay.
what would normally happen, and then you tell me how we're going to change it.
Okay.
Right. So we'll start with normally at a party. You've seen it the last 2 nights. It starts at the arrival. It's that formal. They stop down at the end of the driveway. The coach stops. The people get out. They have to walk all the way up the driveway, past the guard, up the stairs, be introduced, and come into the building. That would be the way it was done. How is it done at your party?
Well, first of all, this party is in the gardens outside.
Yep.
Behind the house, there has been an elaborate sort of hedge construction
Okay.
made. There's a bit of a maze. There's a bit of a just sort of a like a portico, sort of like a large portico structure
Yep.
that offers a canopy that they can relax under and stuff. There are tables. There are some larger tables, there are some smaller, more intimate tables, but all of them have multiple seats around them to encourage socialization and mingling. But there are also like stations on the grass with blankets and setups for sort of picnicking and more casual, like, pillows and cushions to encourage lounging and things. And she wants to encourage conversation as opposed to formality.
Perfect. So how do they get
So the
to
first,
the backyard?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think. Well, first of all, I think they can be offered a ride in the snazzy new technology, the palanquin.
Yep.
And if they're still a little hesitant, they can be escorted down a very lovely, pruned, but sort of that pastoral wildness
Yep.
of a of a path,
Yep.
basically
See,
around the
something
house. So the whole
almost like a
thing,
rose archway where they build the arch and then grow everything
yes,
over it. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it's
Very organic, very
the whole thing
green.
is a show a little bit, but it's not an ostentatious show.
Yep.
It's a show of what potential there is.
Okay. I'm assuming but follow what I said. That's the arrival. So they get there, they make their way to the backyard. That's what they see. Normally, they would be formally introduced and make an entrance down a staircase to the ballroom.
On
I
show
think there is
for everybody as
still,
they wait as they
Yeah.
make their entrance.
I think there is still a small stairway that leads down into the main garden area, but they are not presented by anyone. They are simply they're simply told to enjoy.
Mhm.
And it sort of suggests that it is going to be part of the evening to introduce themselves and to make it, it's their job to do the introducing so that they can start the conversations and spark
Right.
this intellectual connection.
Perfect. Um, when they get when they would have gotten to the bottom of the stairs, that would have been their first interaction with staff. They would have had some silent servant drift up with a tray full of champagne glasses and just hold them out. Not even offer anything, would just hold them out and then disappear as soon as they were taken.
I think I wouldn't say it's super different from that, but it's more like a buffet.
Mm-hmm.
So even as you take your beverages, your refreshments, your hors d'oeuvres, you are still presented with other people and an opportunity to mix.
Right. So more of a
This is all about.
more of a bartender than a waiter. Sort of they gather
Yes.
you in. Yeah, you have to go get your drink
Yeah.
instead of them bringing it to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're not like there isn't a mob or
No,
anything.
it's
but
just right at the bottom of the stairs. There's just a table. And,
yes.
Yeah. Fresh glasses are poured as you arrive, and away you go. Yeah, but you get your own. I like that. And then this is where it's really going to get very different, because there would be a sort of formal receiving line. And because this is a formal party, the important folks would have arrived first, come in, introduce themselves, join the line. Then the next people come in, introduce themselves, join the line. So that the least important people have to shake everybody's hand before they go stand at the end of the line. Just so everybody knew their place. That was very much a ritual to show everybody their place at this party.
I think they're not met by anyone who sort of initiates any kind of formation of a line.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Caldwell and Lady Caldwell have not arrived yet.
Nope.
So there is no pretense for any kind of line.
Yep.
And
so is I just in my head, is it as simple as the bartender giving them their drinks and just saying have a seat? Just sort
basically,
just sort of waving them in. Yeah.
I was going to say, if need be, because I think there would be waiters to take like dishes and stuff. If need be, a waiter can suggest a place to sit.
Yeah. Or if they're asked, they always take you to a table that's already got somebody at it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if they're
that's an old cabaret trick, and then you would sort of you would rank the people at the tables by how close they were to the stage. But anyway,
there's no stage here.
There's no stage, but that brings me to what's next, because the next thing would be entertainment. It would normally be very formal dancing and very like chamber music, sitting in the corner, footling quietly during dinner.
I think there is probably a collection of like lute players and some like casual, like not like a yay day kind of fiddle, but like a nice relaxing kind of violin, but something that sets the mood but doesn't seem somber.
Right. And is it you mentioned a couple things, so is it sort of like wandering bards? Like depending on where you go, there's you go over here and you can hear the guy playing the violin, or you can go over there and listen to two lutists and play dueling lutes. Ding 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 ding. Nobody showed up yet. They're just tuning their instruments and practicing.
Yeah.
Playing for each other rather than for the audience.
It's going in my head.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I've seen it. It's dueling sitars. It's Bill Bailey playing his electric guitar, and one of the fastest fingered sitar players I have ever seen on the live stage, and it's dueling sitars, and it's one of the greatest. I'll go watch it anyway. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I know what I'm googling after.
Yeah, and it's Bill Bailey too, so you can't go wrong. Anyway. That's not what's happening. That's just in my head. This is your party. I'm halfway through the Royal Variety Show from the same year. Never mind. Tell us what happens. That's the music. Lighting and effects, because normally you'd be inside. It would be all sort of candles, and as the night went on, the light would lower. You're having us outside at, when does it start?
It starts around like 1 p.m.
Okay.
To give everyone time to settle in, adjust, because this is obviously a big change from what they're used to.
Yep.
Because Felicity doesn't imagine that it's going to really pick up until like maybe 2 hours in, because
Yep.
these people are so stiffly trained.
Like every festival ever, as long as the sun's out, everybody's just kind of hi, hi, and when the sun goes down, it's like yeah.
So as the evening progresses is when she plans to bring out the more involved food and start to light lanterns and things, like strategically placed light sources that kind of encourage people to gather more towards them,
Yep.
and therefore towards each other.
Like
This is all
moths to
very
the flame. Yes.
orchestrated. Yeah.
Yep. Food. Because of the way it was at the bottom of the stairs, is it more a buffet than
Yes.
it's like, because you got to go up and interact with the staff, and you got to get a plate.
Yes.
You got to carry your own food, and you got to choose what goes on it. And yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. And then, I mean, it's fancy ass food, but it's come and get
Oh
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that gets us, like you said, that gives us the whole evening. Normally there would be the moment of the party, probably shortly, starting this early in the day, shortly after sundown, a formal ladying up, let's call it, where you would be expected to go to the head of the party and make your first speech as a full-blown adult member of the community.
Yeah.
You are informed every time you make that face that this is non-negotiable. Everything else at this party is up to you, but you have to make a speech.
And I think so. Throughout all of this series of parties, she's been not sort of, but very much sort of stop saying sort of, very much stressing or emphasizing the lack of a need for all of this structure and well, not structure, but like over formality, basically.
Yeah.
And staunch classism and separation of
Like
ideas.
like you've been teaching your mom, you don't have to be snooty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Let your hair down, have pancakes for lunch, mom, it's okay. Right. Yeah.
And so at the second party she let her hair down.
Yep.
and I remember us talking about how her color is getting smaller and smaller.
Yep.
With her outfit. So as she walks up to the head of the party, and
Well, we're not there yet. We're still in the planning stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But we're gonna do the party. No, that's.
Okay. Yeah.
You're writing the party for me as we speak. So.
Cool. What's next?
The next thing, because you brought up the collar, clothing. Normally, this would be, like you said, you've used the word informal a couple times. This would be anything but informal. This is your biggest collar, your biggest ruff, your biggest skirt, your hair up to there.
Felicity has a plan.
Okay.
TM.
But what I'm asking then, don't spoil don't spoil that. But what does it say on the invites?
Refreshingly formal.
Okay.
easy formal.
Easy formal. Sid's gonna wish he'd seen
Dress
that.
dress with
Oh, good.
He got friction burns on his legs with those tights.
dress for ease but formality or something like that.
Mention perhaps that it's outside.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. An outdoor gathering.
Okay, so they know what to get ready for. Perfect. Okay. You almost, but did not, avoid the matter of the speech.
Uh,
Is it enough
Alright,
for her
what do
to
you-
say
what-
she agrees to do it?
Yes, at this point, it's just
Oh.
all I wanted to know was I don't need you to give the speech yet. That's later tonight.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to know was it would be a very formal moment in the evening, and you've changed
Mhm.
everything else about the evening. So, is there a change to that? There's no question about you doing it or not, but how
Yeah,
you do
she
it or where
definitely
you do it.
has to do it.
Yeah.
I think she knows that it would be maybe a little too much to entirely flip the script. She will not pretend to be fancier than anything is,
Mhm.
but she will address them as the fact that she is the hostess, not above them, but the one who brought them to this gathering together, and just going to say a few words in honor of the evening.
So again, sort of a standing up and ding, 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 and having a speech rather than getting up to a dais and lighting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So maybe about a third of the way through it rather than near the end?
Yeah, because I was going to say
Yeah.
that because that's the trigger. That's the end of the formal bit of the evening, and after that, anybody, even in the old way, Barry shows up and everybody gets drunk right after that
Mhm.
bit. But
Or they roll
Yeah.
up they roll up the carpets and
Yeah.
start to dance and
Yes, absolutely. I have one more question.
Mhm.
The stack of invitations is like there's multiple stacks.
Mhm.
Normally, this would only be the top 5 or 6 families.
Mhm.
There's invite requests here from town folks, from members of the philosophical party. There's the Grands have asked if they can come. There's the staff of your house has asked if they can come up and make appearances when they're not busy serving and things like that. Pretty much everybody at every social level in this town has seen fit to ask you for an invitation.
I think so long as the household can handle the capacity.
Oh yeah, you have to
She
open up
will
a portion
turn-
of the orchard, but that's
Oh, that's fine.
yeah, vineyard. Sorry, the vineyard. It's orchards here, vineyards there.
It can be both.
There's one right behind this wall, about a block and a half. But never mind. Yeah,
Nice. Um,
one of each actually. But never mind. I'm not in Italy.
From the Okanagan.
Yeah.
So long as the household can handle the capacity, she
Yep.
doesn't turn anyone down.
Okay. The actually, when you mention it to your butler, he buttles for a moment to his staff because that's really what a butler does: is hands off responsibilities. They will open up a section of the vineyard and light it with what he calls fairy lights. So just little tea cozy sort of lights hiding in the trees.
Mm-hmm. Totally not a fire hazard.
It's not going to be a fire. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Have them in little lanterns. It's fine.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Grand finales don't burn unless they're supposed to. But yes,
Yeah,
so
no, I got you.
That's your invites. Other than that, your tailor shows up fairly early. And all I'm going to do for this part is say, He says to you, "It would be easier if you came down to my shop than having them all brought up here."
Oh Lord. I I don't know why I'm surprised. All right, lead the way.
And as he's leading you down there, he starts to talk to you about fashion. And he says, I don't know where you learned it, but it's clear as day that you know what you're talking about. So what I did is I've got layers and ideas and color palettes, and he's talking to you like an equal, not only on the fashion level, but as a human being too. He sort of does that thing where he's turning around and talking up the stairs at you as you go downstairs. And he takes you to his tailor shop, but not just his shop, but like the back where nobody's supposed to go, and there's bits and pieces and color swatches and just a wall of choice.
And Felicity knows exactly what she wants.
Perfect. In that case, we're not going to spoil that. That's where we're going to drop the curtain on you for that scene. We did that part.
Allegra needs to do something.
Okay, perfect. What would you like to do? Switch back to Allegra.
So after some time as she reflects on what the cook said, and as she sort of peeks surreptitiously out the window with a different eye, and she still isn't sure. But she thinks to, when there's kind of sort of a lull out there, as things are calming down, she gets up on her crutches and she moves to the nearest door and kind of, oh yeah, chirpy birds, the squawk, the early morning. There's no subtlety about early morning birds. But as she goes sort of outside to where folks are doing things, and particularly where folks are sitting and having their breakfast, where they're kind of
all the ones
relaxing.
that are building palanquins all night.
Yeah. And she kind of goes over to she'll go to a place where folks are sitting and eating and relaxing for a bit, where they're not busy with something else at the moment. And she kind of sort of shyly, tentatively sort of approaches from the side.
There's something very much like awe in a few of their faces when they realize who you are. But a couple of the other ones just sort of smooth out a place on the blanket. If you'd like to join us, we'd be honored.
I would be honored to join you. And she'll move over and awkwardly settle herself down. I mean, once she's down and her crutches are tucked away and her skirt is kind of spread over, she's not awkward anymore at all.
No.
It's just the movement to get there. Those who haven't met her yet versus those who have. Yeah, basically. And so she kind of sits and she kind of looks around at the people there. It's like, so what are you looking forward to most for today?
There's a bit of a grin, and one of them says, some of us are going to the party tonight. Us.
Only some of you?
Some of us have to work at the party. So we're there.
Well, surely you'll have breaks and things to be able to.
Yes, and we were actually thinking about doing short shifts so that everybody could kind of do.
That sounds lovely. That sounds nice and collaborative. Are you planning the shifts yourselves, or is someone coordinating?
That's the wildest part. Is it's just kind of getting done. Somebody just walked past like 10 minutes ago with a sheet and said, put your name in the spot where you want to, and it, like, there's no fighting, and It's all
I'm
just kind of
hearing there's a
words.
lot of that going around.
Can you hear that?
Hear what? What am I?
You're
And what am I hearing?
you're humming. Like whether your voice is doing it or not,
Oh,
Allegra
yeah.
is humming.
And so she's sort of asking, and she sort of stops and asks, uh, and what does Allegra hear? Because Allegra does not hear herself humming.
No.
What does Allegra hear?
Peace.
Or do I hear some of the sounds of industry that were going earlier
Oh, yeah,
that Sid was hearing?
there's lots of stuff going on. In fact, at this point, you get the from the Steam thing, but even that and the ducks and the dogs and everything panicking after that,
So
it's a
she's humming as she
momentary thing.
listens to that.
Yeah, and it's just a very momentary disturbance in the force. And what you hear is almost a non-sound. There's no stress. There's no discordancy.
And she kind of, well, and Allegra would notice discordancy.
Yes.
And so she kind of turns and smiles and it says, "This place seems a lot more lively than when we got here. Gosh, was that only a few days ago?"
There's people living in houses. There's people.
Are there?
There's a lady painting the statues down by the bay.
All of the toes are individually.
She did all the toes first, and nobody knows why. She just keeps laughing. She's also got at least one of them covered in glitter.
Of course she does. And is one of them green?
She was asking for green paint. It seems like a bunch of very private jokes. She also paints vines everywhere she goes.
And they're both insidious and surprisingly nurturing, aren't they, those vines?
They say if you can see the blinds, you can feel the hug. Or see
That's
the vines.
That's a good way to put that. Yes, that's a very good way to put that.
There's been a lot of hugging going on since you guys got here. We didn't used to be huggy.
Well, I mean, humanity seems like such a social creature. It seems like we ought to be. You know,
Well,
cats are much better about just coming up and nudging at you and say, "Hey, I want a pet." You know, humans, we're a little shy about it. We have to, and she reaches over and pats them on the arm, pats whoever she's talking to on the arm as she says that.
There's a nod. Yeah, we were kind of turning into cats. We're not cats. You taught us that.
I did.
Well, you kind of, and they just look up at this whole thing. There's like this puddle of different that has spread from you guys since you got here, right? The thoughts about sort of democratic rule, and it's almost an anarchy. It's like let the people that know what they're doing do what they do, and this sort of nurturing and the lack of discordancy. Whether you believe it or not, they fully believe that this group, the four of you that rolled into town, did this and are continuing to do this.
Well, I mean, we are kind of all in this together, and
see, there you go, doing it again.
It's so much easier when doing what again?
Making people feel good.
Oh.
Every time somebody does a little thing, you make them feel like they're 100 feet tall.
Well, it's cool. I mean, don't you think it is? Yeah, someone does something, and it's like that's an because every time we do these things, it makes it easier for each other, and it makes it just. I mean, life's too hard if we aren't doing this together, right? I mean,
absolutely, and
why wouldn't I? I mean, they are 100 feet tall. They're doing something cool, right?
So, can I ask you a question?
Sure. Anything.
And they kind of look uncomfortable, and they look at the way you're sitting, and they look at your canes, and when was the last you felt 100 feet tall. And he kind of
Me?
grabs a coffee and looks like he wants to run away.
Uh, um,
Because if you make us feel 10 feet tall, you're at least 100 feet tall at least.
oh, well, aren't you sweet to say that?
And it's true. So do you feel 100 feet tall? Because you don't look 100 feet tall, you look scared.
I'm kind of scared of being 100 feet tall. I mean, it's like
Are you afraid of heights?
far away. Well, yeah, aren't you? Well, I mean,
I don't know. I've
most
never been
people
100
aren't, I
feet
guess.
tall. I've never been.
And she kind of looks around at the group and she says, "Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I mean, you're on your break here. Um, but I'll see you later at the party.
Yes, yes.
You'll
We're all
come and
gonna.
talk to me.
We're. And he kind of stops like he's not supposed to say something. He says, we're gonna make an entrance.
Are you? Oh, I can't wait to see that. I got to make sure I'm in there earlier so that I can see that.
Oh, you'll see it. You'll see it. It took us so long to figure out how to go down the stairs.
Oh my. I can't wait. But you'll come to talk to me? Right?
If I'm allowed.
Why wouldn't you be allowed? I mean, you're my friends, right? Of course, I want you to come talk to me.
And the eyes are just like this big. It's like you just told them Santa Claus was real. Friends? Really? Friends?
Sure. Aren't you? I mean, I feel like you're my friend. You've been so nice to me. Why wouldn't you be my friend?
We're your friend. We've been your friends since like we heard about you. But you're our friend too.
Well, didn't you say I make you feel 10 feet tall? If that isn't friendship.
Oh, see, there you go, doing it again.
Doing what?
Making me feel 10 feet tall. And he
Well,
says,
you look 10 feet tall to me, so.
He says, I wonder what
But
else.
she's starting in the back of her head. She's starting to get an inkling. There's a few little sparkles back there that she's starting to understand what people are talking about.
And hopefully to rub it in, he says, I'm going to look up. I'm going to look way up. You know what I want to see?
What do you want to see?
You. 100
Me?
feet tall.
And you'll be there to catch me when I fall, right? Because I'm afraid of heights.
We will all catch you. There's kind of a murmur around the table.
Deal.
They've all been listening all around the yeah.
That's a deal. That's a deal.
But yeah, you
And she kind of, and she does, kind of explain, and she has some similar sort of conversations with some of the other groups. And she goes to different groups of different stations, some are the staff, some are, neighbors, some are townsfolk, things like that. And she's actually listening.
Yeah.
And she does make a little detour to pick something up, which I will talk about later.
Okay, perfect. I have one more question before we get to the party itself. You may have noticed, Allegra, the tailor did not approach you.
I did notice. Mm-hmm. Allegra didn't notice, but
yes.
Karis the player noticed, yes.
That is...
which is good, because I was terrified how Allegra would do with the tailor.
It's intentional. You're going to... I'll just... above the table, because I like that phrase... if you want formal wear, you're going to have to ask for it. They are far too respectful / afraid of you to demand that you wear anything.
She's gonna wear very warm colors, right? Very comfortable, flowing, lots of fabric, stuff like she always does.
Okay, that's what I figured. All right.
Yep.
So, is there anything anybody would like to do before we actually get to the start of the party? We're going to start with Felicity. You said you wanted it to start about 1 o'clock. So it's sort of 12:45, and you're the host. You're pointing and giving instructions and last minuting everything, because that's what happens. Your mother kind of, I'm going to use the phrase, slopes up to you, just kind of slides in. It's not a formal mother-daughter approach. Up to you, and waits till you're done talking to the people, the tradespeople, and then looks at you and says, when you've got a moment, could you help me pick something to wear tonight?
Yes. Yes, sure. She looks around and sort of gestures for the butler to come over and delegates all of the things that are left to check on to him, and then heads off with her mom to help pick out something to wear.
Yep. You go to Mother's wing of clothes, right? I mean, the formal wear wing of the wardrobe, right? There's just an unbelievable amount of stuff in here. She has, I mean, normally in this situation, there would be no question. It would be the fanciest, most formal thing she owns. That would be the only thing that you would wear to a party of this importance, right? It's been the one that you would have been saving for the last 2 nights for this big event. But it's up to you. What do you suggest that Mother wears? I don't want to overdress. I want to fit in. I mean, not with everybody. She slides a little bit. But
Felicity will sort of rifle through her closet and find something not loose per se, but more flowing.
Yep.
A sort of softer fabric,
like
that sort of drapes as opposed to
like elven formal wear from Lord of the Rings. Sort of just
yes, but with a little more volume to the skirt and stuff like that. But like
it looks less structured, but it's actually more structured. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. A little more fancy free.
Yep.
While still retaining that sort of air of formality that is almost like an idealism as opposed to any kind of actual institution or structure. It's kind of like the ideal of what you would want like a pastoral fantasy to be, but for a more mature woman as opposed to for a youthful woman like Felicity is. Well, she's 31, but
still. Yeah, I get it. So given that it's Italy, it's summer now. It was spring when this all started. So full blast of summer. Those colors, what's the color palette for Mom?
I know that as a Caldwell, she likes to represent the Caldwell family, so I'm not going to make her stray from the blue and silver, but I think it's more light versions to sort of fit with the lighter theme of the evening of the event. So not necessarily pastels even, but just more lighthearted colors as opposed to the dour, deep stuff that she has been wearing.
Okay.
But perhaps vibrant is a good word for it. Lively.
And of course, over the course of the day, the outfit will change because you're going from the afternoon to the evening, but we'll get to that when we get to that if we remember that. But for right now, I am going to mention it now because I probably will forget it later. The tailor working with you on this, once you've picked it, you mentioned all these pale blues and silvers. Uh, he suggests a handbag and wig that look like clouds.
For
To go,
her?
yeah, for her to go with the pale blue and silver. She looks like the sky.
Um, I think I will leave that choice up to her.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, it's very. The one thing I will ask, though, is that she wears a smaller collar.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah, and because that was a thing, yeah, I'm presuming it would be the absolute minimum that she felt like she could get away with is what she'd be wearing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, perfect. With that, 1 o'clock rolls around. The first of the people start to arrive, which we're going to have actually be your friends because they're just upstairs. Well, out in the yard and upstairs. Sid, the tailor, comes back, stuffs you back into the suit, um, compliments you on what you've done with your mustache this time. He's actually kind of grinning and being very helpful. He helps you on with the apron and ties it off behind you. Comes around the front and does the unnecessary fiddling with stuff that's already perfect. Looks up at you because he's quite a bit smaller than you because you're a big dude. And he says, I couldn't help noticing while we were getting you dressed, sir. Those ribs, is there a story behind that? They're still purple and yellow, right? I mean, they're
Yeah.
not broken anymore, but they're still that purple yellow bruise.
Sid can't help but smile, and he's like, "Come see me later at the party, and I'll be sure to tell you. It's quite the yarn."
You've been on quite an adventure, haven't you? The lot of you.
The trip from here to Florence is a lot longer than you expect, my friend.
If you go out again, can I go with you?
Oh, are you sure you're up for it?
I've never been further away than. Then he kind of points down to the waterfront.
We'll talk about it over drinks.
Okay. I just, mean, this is fun and all, but my ribs have never looked like that.
Oh, trust me, my friend. If it did, you'd wish it hadn't.
Oh, but the stories, the stories, the stories. And he's bustling around and he finishes getting you dressed and runs away. He's basically admitted he wants to grow up and join the circus, except, he wants adventure. He doesn't want to be a tailor anymore. He wants to be a lumberjack. No. I even waited till Bison was having a drink and I didn't get him, damn it. But with that, the two of you come down, and you're in the house. So, well, no, hang on. Let's start with Sid because you are in the house. So you come down out the back door of the house, which is typically the staff entrance, right? And you enter this garden, and you can see the paper lanterns. They're not hung, they're not lit yet, but they're hanging around everywhere. And these big open tables and bartenders and the whole deal, food every which way. It's very informal, to say the least. I'm going to ask you, who do you see there? Out of all the NPCs we've met in all this time, who's there ahead of you?
Right at the beginning of the party?
Yeah. Who do you meet when you walk out the back door? Because you don't even go down the stairs, right? Because that's the formal entrance, right? You just come out the back door and like literally the staff entrance to the garden.
Who does he meet when he gets down there?
I'll give you a second. Because at that same time, Allegra, you're dressed as you wish to be dressed, and the time has come. All the staff, you can see them all sort of petering out of the front yard to go and do their other official formal jobs, and then I guess I didn't ask Sid, but Allegra, do you go out through the back door, or do you go through the around the front and then walk around the building,
I
or do you take a palanquin?
well, I have to take a palanquin. Yeah. I mean, because I'm getting from where I am with folks. You know, I'm going
Yeah.
to take the route around.
Yep. Now when you get to the bottom of the stairs and where the palanquins are waiting, the 12 palanquineers are nowhere to be seen. Instead, it's all
Well,
of
they're going to make a grand entrance. I know
yes,
that.
it's all Verité's creations in front of you. So there's like the horse legs and the cricket legs and the one that looks like it walks on a bunch of inverted mushrooms, and it's a whole bunch of weirdness. But you have your choice.
I will step into whichever one Verité points me to.
And okay, perfect. Thank you, because Verité is standing there, formal as formal can be. Like his tuxedo is so tight it looks like it's going to break his ribs. He kind of looks like a scarecrow. Somebody has combed his little beard until it's just perfect, and they put some like tash cream in it or something. It's pointed. He's got a little top hat on, and he gives you the swoosh into the one he's the most proud of, which is actually the feet, the one with the 100 little feet and the skirt, the first one he ever built. And sitting inside, your pilot for the evening is a grinning Terrence in the most outrageous blue and silver uniform you have ever seen in all your life, with his big old sunburned face hanging out. Because you guys have only been here a couple days. He's still got the farmer face. And his big farmer hands are holding onto the tiller. And as you step in, he's, "Milady?"
And as Verité, gestures me in, and as I start getting in, I let go of the crutch and reach out to grab Verité's hand, and right above the wrist, and I look up him, and I reach into a pocket and I bring out and I hand him a small sprig of oleander, which grows like weeds in Venice.
Yeah.
It is. It's a weed. It's a common flower. And she hands it to him, and she says, "Thank you for bringing me along."
And he looks at you and with complete honesty on his face says, "Thank you for coming, and thank you for the flower. I never did figure out how these work."
And seeing him get absorbed in that, Allegra will sit back and will smile over at Terrence and gesture,
He says,
"I'm ready for a ride."
He grins at you and he says, "Oh, don't worry, you'll see more of those two tonight," and pushes forward on the handle, and the little feet
Did I hear something about fireworks?
"You most certainly didn't hear it from me."
Of
Mom.
course not. No, I did not hear anything. No, of course not.
And he takes you around the house and gets to the stairs, and he has to turn. If you don't like hundreds of tiny feet, you might want to take your headphones off for a second, because he has to turn the whole thing sideways and then go down the stairs sort of one row of feet at a time. So it's with the palanquin all the way down the stairs. And then he turns and he looks. The other ones won't have this problem. They've got longer legs. And he makes his way over to the bartender's table.
But actually, as we come in, and as I see Sid stepping down, I tap at Terrence, and I want to go over and see Sid.
And he drives over to Sid and pops open the other door, and he says, "If sir would like to enter," in his best snooty voice. "I know you're British and everything."
Sid smirks and he's like, "Well, this is an upgrade." And he's, sort of gets in.
Do you
And
mean? He looks at you and he says, "Do you mean the shirt, sir?"
"The shirt's pretty nice too, but..."
Well, let's just say from the neck down, I wouldn't recognize you, sir. Here we go. And pushes forward.
He sits down beside Allegra. He's like, "My legs are so tight right now. I'm pretty sure I have friction burns putting funny things on."
And she laughs and she pulls out and she hands him an oleander flower.
Sid, being ever practical, rubs it between his thighs, thinking it's medication.
Sid actually tucks it into his apron.
Yeah.
Tucks it into
Oh,
his apron
beautiful.
next
That
to
just
the
that little bit
shirts.
of color, because you're
Mhm.
all in black and silver, right? So yeah,
Yep.
just that little flash of color. Beautiful.
And he looks to Allegra and he's like, "You caught us at the exact best time. We needed you."
I caught you. You caught me. You rescued me out of that courthouse. I was about to be sacrificed as a sacrifice. I was about to be executed as a witch.
And we were falling apart at the seams.
Were you? You didn't seem to be.
Oh. You've heard the stories.
Well, yeah.
We
They're
whitewashed a fair
amazing.
bit. It wasn't. This has been a very rough journey. And you made it a lot easier for all of us.
Well, thank you. I mean, when I first rode with you and I started hearing, what you wanted to do and where you were going, and you're all such amazing people. It was like, wow, if anybody could actually do it, it was you guys, and you. I mean, so kindly let me come along for the ride. So I knew I was having a front row seat, and it was seriously cool. And I mean, I hope I get some more time to sit down with Artemis. I mean, Artemis is they're just amazing. The talent and the grace and kindness, but I'm glad you think that I'm a help. But what
I
what do
just
you
want you to bask in all this, because I mean, this is your victory as much as it is ours.
Terrence quickly
Couldn't
interrupts,
have made it
pushes
here.
open the door, and says, "We've arrived at the basking table," and the bar is right outside your door.
but but what do
Fine, he
you
says, and he
think?
gets out and goes and gets a drink and leaves the palanquin sitting there.
But what do you think? I mean, you're here and stuff is starting to happen, and I could hear industry starting. I could hear industry this morning out the window, and I was thinking of the coffee shop and you sitting down and with the I'm sorry, I've forgotten his name, and talking about trains and everything. I mean, what do you think about where we are?
I think we finally found a place we can make a lasting difference. Verite said we were here to save the world. We're starting with Venice.
There's
So you're still thinking bigger.
there's a cutaway to the shot from space, and it's like a drop of water hits a surface at Venice, and it's just this the rings radiating out. We're gonna go long tonight. I hope that's okay, because we're not done. Um, the two of you are sitting there in a now empty palanquin. Terrence is having drinks with the bartender outside, setting the sort of casual thing for the day.
And at some
You
point we'll
you
need to
know
move
when,
so that we're not blocking the drinks
yeah.
table.
Plus, all you have to do with these palanquins is get out of them, and they return to sender, so to speak, by
That's true.
themselves. So you can just get out, and it will walk away. Felicity, you mom's dress is chosen. She looks at you and she says, "You might be my daughter, dear, but you don't get to watch me get dressed. Get out! Get out! Get out!"
Yes. You don't have to say it more than once, and she will book it just out.
And as you leave, your tailor is heading in, and he looks at what you've chosen and just raises an eyebrow and looks at you and grins, and you realize he's dressed in party wear. As soon as he's done helping your mom, he's going to the party. So
I give him an approving nod.
and he just gives you the they're all so, this is so new to all of them, that there's this social thing, but he's still got a job to do. So he blows in, and you see him kind of, the mask comes back down, and he starts talking to Mother Dearest as one would, and putting it together and complimenting you at every opportunity as he, picks the stuff and puts it on her as you leave. As you do leave, you look out the window and you can see the two of these two and some other folks in the yard. You can look around the front of the building, and you can see more people coming, but they're not going to be here for a couple minutes yet. So you've got a few minutes with your friends.
So they're at what, the bar where they got dropped off?
I assume
I think
that
we
you
might
guys-
still be in the
technically,
shelter
they're
of the
still in the
palanquin.
yeah. Technically, they're still in the palanquin. Yeah.
Then
Terrence is
Felicity
having
will,
a drink.
Felicity takes her steps down the I imagine there's like kind of a small staircase that leads down from the main house to
Yep.
the garden area,
Yeah, the
but
family.
only like that the family would
staff,
use, just
but
because the
family.
family, yeah, because the family lives in the main house.
Yes.
So Felicity comes down that flight of stairs, and I think the palanquins have like windows in them, right?
Oh yes.
Oh,
yeah.
yes,
And the little
yes.
curtains with
Yeah.
the ties and the sashes, and yeah, the whole bit.
Yeah.
And we see you
Um,
coming, and Allegra turns like, here she comes.
Yeah.
Felicity,
So,
interruption. What you wearing?
yes.
Because you told us you had a plan.
What you thinking? Yeah. Okay. So, part of this plan will be unveiled later in the party, but
Yep.
Felicity has this pale, pale, pale blue, bordering on white, draped outfit. It kind of looks like almost like a farm girl, but like fancy.
Yeah.
And it's full of reminders of, so it's got like the butterflies from the, what was it, the first party,
Mhm.
and it's got some embroidery that resembles the pattern of her second dress.
Yep.
And it's all kind of strategically placed where it's hidden under this light sheer veil that covers, like, veil of fabric that covers all of her all of her dress, I should say. So that, and then on this veil, she has commissioned Artemis's vines, Allegra's music, Sid's pipes, Verity's fireworks,
Yeah.
and she couldn't think of anything for Stephanos. She
So
just kind of
there's just a small unpaid intern in the corner.
she wrote in Italian, unpaid intern,
Yeah.
in embroidery. And it's all like, it's this pale silver on top of this pale blue, so it's very discreet but elegant but representative of people, the people that have come with her, the people that have helped shape her, the people that are going to help revitalize Venice, because this party is all about people. So it represents not just her being who she is, but how she has become who she is, and not just what she is. but also, surprisingly, she has a small collar on. A small little ruff.
Yep. I
And
love it. Yeah.
it goes with the outfit, but it doesn't seem quite Felicity at this point
Yep.
in the development of
Yep.
this nature of hers.
Absolutely. Yep. I absolutely get the messaging behind that. It's beautiful. Okay. So yeah, just as you step up to them, just before you do, Felicity, you hear a excuse me, this voice from way up here and behind you, like way up here and behind you.
I turn around. Yes, hello.
It's Teddy, and he nods to you and he says, with all the respect in the world, lady Felicity, lady what, lady Pope lady, can I sit up somewhere? I would give the stuffies to the kids. I know they're not worth money.
But absolutely, yes. Of course, the kids would love that.
And if you come
And
over later and swing the hammer, I've got a button I can push what makes it cheat so you'll win.
No need for that. No need for that. I'm sure. Do it for the kids.
Right. Oh, that'll be funny. Only the kids can do it. Oh, thank you. You're so cool. Thank you. I gotta find a flat place. And he just kind of runs off like a kid himself.
That makes her heart very, very warm and fuzzy.
So the three of you are, you then step up to these two before I rudely interrupted.
Yeah. Felicity is actually going to sort of poke her head in, not like through the window of the palanquin, but just feel like, hello,
Come join us.
look at you.
And I have a flower for her too. It's like, wow. I mean, just wow. Look at that.
It's
he can't stand in the palanquin, but Sid kind of does like this little formal sit bow.
Yeah.
Stop bowing, you shit.
Do you get in the palanquin? Because I love the fact that they're still in it, and you just look through the window, and they're showing no signs of getting out.
Yeah, I'm patting the seat next to me. Or across from me or something. I'm patting whatever seat's available here.
Yeah, I think Delilah wants to. Fuck. Felicity wants to have.
I was waiting for her to show up.
I think Felicity wants to have a moment, sort of with her friends before she has to play hostess again. So she will step into the palanquin.
Terrence steps over and closes the door and steps back over by the bartender. So you've got this
sign from it.
Do not disturb. Yeah. If this palanquin's rocking, don't come a knocking.
What?
No. Sorry.
I think no, that means it was funny. That means it was funny. Felicity, I think when Felicity was leaning in the window and she was presented with the flower, I think she let Allegra place it in like a twist or a braid in her hair.
Yeah.
Because her hair is mostly down, but it still has some like ornamental elements and stuff. So she sits with her friends and she says, today's the day, I guess. Well, I don't guess, I know it's sort of all they've been talking about, all I've been thinking about. Do you know how hard? Do you know how much work it is to plan a party like this?
I know how much work it is to get ready for one, or at least get dressed for it.
Sid, is there a
Yeah,
stain?
look at you.
Holes in a tight spot.
Is there a stain yet, Sid? Somewhere?
No,
Okay.
he's been careful.
He's been a good boy. Okay.
And
Hasn't had anything to drink.
we've only been here a few days. It's like look at this. How did you do this in just a few days? Wow.
My mother has an incredible staff, and I could not have pulled this off without him. Them, sorry. I mean, the butler. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Might-
the way he manages
He might
phone.
be magic.
He might. He might at that.
Now that you mentioned it, he
Like, I
always
say
hums under
that-
his breath while he's tailoring.
How are you two doing? Other than uncomfortable, I imagine, Sid.
He's like
Sid looks like a statue of himself. Just sort of sitting there, trying to stay clean.
Yeah, Sid. He does this with his hands. Like developed a new cramp.
Yeah.
Not
Get
used to
ink
sun.
stains on his fingers. Oh,
Yeah.
You'll get used to that.
Oh. This city, though, it's been waiting for us.
Yeah, I mean, to have taken the catalyst so fast, it must have been.
Everywhere you've
I
been has
am-
been waiting for you.
I didn't know what to expect when we got here. It was certainly not this.
Who could
Ah.
expect this?
It's precisely.
And there are now people sort of filing around the palanquin to get drinks and then continue on in various states of weird feelingness because they haven't been introduced or introduced because it's just tables under the trees. Isn't that a great word? I really like that word.
Right?
But I don't know, use it some other time. But yeah, it takes them a while to figure out that they're supposed to sit at these tables and there's no name tags like who's supposed to sit where and the staff isn't helping because they're just drinking and having a good time like everybody else. And yeah.
I think Felicity sort of instructed the staff to surreptitiously be on the lookout to suggest places to sit.
Just the staff directed.
Yeah, or like invite.
Yeah.
Or just like invite people to sit with them.
Yep. Even just the idea
anyway.
of the staff sitting down at the table with somebody is, it's
Exactly.
probably shocking to some of them. So yeah, but
yeah.
Yes. But that's it. All I wanted to do is that the party's starting to build around you guys as three of you sit in your in your little safe spot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to have to go back out soon, but
Yeah, we all are.
I wanted to say.
Go ahead.
I want to say thank you for literally everything. I wouldn't be physically here if it weren't for you. And I wouldn't be who I am if it weren't for you either. And I wish Coast were here, but other than that, this is just mind-boggling, And I appreciate you guys so much.
And just think, there's still tomorrow.
That is very true.
Sid does something very uncharacteristic. He flops over to the other side because he was sitting beside Allegra. So now he's sitting beside Felicity. And he gives her a bit of a hug. And
Aww.
he's like, none of us would have made it without the others.
Nuts.
And I honestly believe that we all needed to be with each other in order to get here. And we survived Florence. We survived a bloody volcano. And you, Allegra, Coas, Verite, and Stefano are the only things I have left of that place. Coas isn't here right now.
Or
No,
Artemis.
Artemis.
Oh, Artemis. And I didn't have friends in Florence. But I found you guys. Verite found us, and we found each other. And I just don't want us to forget that. I don't want this to be we all settle into our new lives, me with the steamworks, you with politicizing this city into something respectable. I don't want to lose that. And he thinks for a second. And I don't think I will.
If we have to, I'll make sure we won't.
Now let's get this bloody party over with. I can't feel my legs.
Righto. And Felicity will step out of the palanquin and hold the door open for the other two.
Terrence nods approvingly, like, yeah. Just the act of holding the door for it wasn't him, so yeah. As you step out, the conversation took a while because there's a lot of people here now. This is an afternoon party that's kind of getting its feel. A lot of it's happening sort of in the orchard and in the vineyard, because it's now an orchard and a vineyard, because I can't stop saying those two words together. So there's the orchard vineyard down at the end of the yard that people are sort of walking around in to be in the shade. There are people at the tables, but they're sort of coming and going, and informal is the absolute word of the day. And you can see some people are more comfortable with it than others because there's no script, right? You have to actually talk to people, and you find out that the neighbor's got gout and all kinds of weird things, and you don't know how to respond to that, but they're starting. And it's just happening and happening and happening. The afternoon wears on. And as dusk starts to fall, for a moment, especially Sid, it looks like maybe there was a mistake or a venting down at the steam plant, because there is a massive release of steam. But you realize it's under control, and this big cloud of steam starts to float over the city. And then inside it, colors, lights, and a few seconds later, explosions. Boom, 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 all muffled by the steam. But it's fireworks going off inside steam just at dusk. It's like flowers exploding in the sky. And as the steam spreads, the fireworks spread too. And you can see, if you look down, Verite and Stefano starfished on the lawn, just staring up at what they've helped create. And it just keeps building and building, but it's quieter. So you know it must be Artemis-inspired fireworks. It's almost impossible to look down from that. This is a world that doesn't have these colors at night, or this light, or this feeling. And people are openly oohing and awing, and kids are running around with stuffed toys that they didn't win, they were given. And one kid runs past with what you remember is like a 50 gold piece toy dog. And he just runs past and it falls in the puddle, and they pick it up and keep running. No problem. It's just a toy. It doesn't matter. It's not money. Teddy has got kids on his shoulders, kids on his arms. He's doing what he calls bear rides, running around with kids on him, running through the woods, and just having a grand old time. A couple of the younger adults they're doing it too. Like, they're trying to be Teddy. They're trying to be cool, right? All kinds of things are happening, and none of them are formal. None of them are, necessary. In fact, at one point, Felicity, you see over in the trees for a second. You can hardly believe it, but you picked out the outfit yourself. It's got to be her. Your mother is dancing with one of the gardeners to the music of a little quartet that's playing in that corner of the orchard. It's very, it's very prim and proper. She's not bumping and grinding down there, but she is dancing with one of the help, right?
Just throwing it back.
She's dancing with the help, right? Is my point, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The wall has been broken down. When you finally do look down, at the top of that curved flight of stairs is the palanquin with the 12 palanquiniers. They are in the full regalia that they wore in Lemville. They've stopped at the top of the stairs like they're about to do something special. As the fireworks drop, they start to come down the stairs like it's floating. About 2 steps down, though, it tips to the side, it tips to the front, and they all start looking like they're falling and tipping, and it tumbles without ever actually dropping it down the stairs. I don't know if you've ever been to an air show where the farmer steals the plane. It's the best scripted falling down the stairs without ever falling down the stairs there has ever been. When it gets to the bottom, the palanquin tips on its side, the door falls open, and Artemis barrel rolls out of it and comes up standing with her hands in the air like this. On the other side, out of the orchard, a huge draped figure, 30 feet tall, 10 meters tall, is pushed out from the trees. And Artemis walks over, kind of looks at you guys and gives you that, like, you saw this look in Lemville. This is the mad artist is free, right? They are in full creative mode. They'll be back to talk to you in a minute, but they walk over and with one hand grab the silk sheet that's over this huge, obviously a statue, and heave down. It pulls off, revealing a fully reconstituted David in all their glory. You can see the lines on the legs where the one in Florence were broken. Coming up out of the base, wrapped around those broken legs and holding them together, vines. Growing up and around David, wrapping him in nature. Artemis just drops the sheet, turns around and looks at you guys, tilts her head to the side and says, I've been kind of busy.
During the reveal, you actually hear Sid gasp.
Felicity's just speechless. And then when Artemis says that, she just says, yeah, you have.
She grabs a drink off a nearby table. Those fireworks were a bit loud, though. Has a little sip.
Always a critic.
And,
At least it's not the pipe organ in the back of the organ mobile.
Felicity just like gives Artemis a big hug, basically.
Yeah. I'm sure Artemis gives a round of hugs to everybody.
And I give her an oleander.
Yeah. And she tucks it in behind her ear and reaches into a pocket and grabs some glitter and sprinkles it on the flower. Yeah.
Not even prepared glitter. She just knew it was there.
It was there. It's a pocket. It's
she
it's
has
everywhere.
Glitter everywhere.
It's never going to stop. And at that moment, your mother walks up to you, Felicity, and you. There's no polite way to put it. You smell her coming, and she kind of bounces off you when she gets to you. She's had a couple drinks, like more than she should have had in public. She's not like. Embarrassing.
She's not soused, but
yeah, she's definitely she's had more than the 1 or 2 glasses you would normally have in this instance, and she bounces up to you with and literally bounces off of you with 2 glasses of champagne and hands one to you. Oh, I started that one, and hands you the other one. It's time for your speech, dear. And she looks around. She says, "Could you keep it short?"
Don't worry, Mum. I wasn't planning on making it long.
It's only because I'm having such a good time and I don't want to have to stand all formally. This ruff is killing me. I'll make you a deal. When you're done, you can take yours off and I'll take mine off. The ruff, dear. Just the ruff.
Felicity looks at her mother and says, "Oh, don't you worry. Just watch me." And Felicity will take a breath and walk up to sort of the like the first tier of these stairs that lead up to the house, just so that people can like see her, not
They're
that she's like trying to put
stairs,
herself
right?
above it.
They're the half rounds?
Yeah.
Of course they are.
Yeah. And she sort of clears her throat to signal to the butler and then the next person to kind of like, it's time to culminate and listen for a minute. And she just says, we have things to do and fun to have, so I'm going to keep this short, but with great meaning. We are all here as equals because we all have things to offer. We are here as people with brilliant minds and stories to share. No single one of us need be more important than another. And she unclasps her collar and takes it off and drops it to the ground. And she says, please, talk, eat, enjoy, create something together that we can all be proud of. And then she nods and walks back down the steps.
As you get to the bottom step and step onto the grass, that sort of from the formal to the informal state, you hear a deep male voice behind you. You drop this.
I turn around.
It's your dad. He's holding your ruff.
Okay. Felicity, she looks puzzled for a minute because she's like, I don't remember this person.
You would only know them from images and descriptions.
And then she remembers the portrait on the wall in the main hall. And a huge smile breaks out on her face. And she says, hi, Dad. And like, there's like, she's tearing up.
Oh, yeah. He holds out his arms.
She runs to him. Absolutely.
He wraps you in one arm. And for a second, it's, what? And then your mom hits into the other arm. And he does the arms come together like the wings of an angel wrapping around his family.
I'm good.
He starts to cheer to give them a moment together. Just to...
The entire party is clapping and crying and spilling their drinks and hugging each other regardless
and chattering with each other.
Yeah. And the uniforms start getting, people start taking off jackets, and now it's just people.
Felicity.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say I want to give each of you one more sort of moment here at this party, and then we're going to talk about the future.
Okay.
Because I don't think we're going to beat that. As a scene,
I have
Yeah.
I have a thing.
Yeah. Do a
I
thing.
do have a thing.
Do this. Yeah. Like I said, one more.
Um,
Yeah.
Felicity catches the eye of one of the lute players in one of the like trios,
Yeah.
and picks up a glass of champagne and raises it to the lute player to signal them to sort of liven up the music a little bit.
Yeah.
And then with a sort of sly smile, she'll take a sip of champagne and just watch as people start to enjoy themselves finally.
Yeah. And it's you said violin earlier. In my head, this is more fiddle music. This is sort of lighter, and it's got the fancy people swaying in their formal
Mm-hmm.
wear, and the people that live in town are just they're dancing it up because they know this stuff, right?
The fiddler's like, finally.
Yeah, but yeah, and to me this, well, I mean, this is also, there was the technical moment of release as well, right? The end of your speech ends the formal portion of the party, so even the formal folks are allowed to relax a bit now, so there's that hint of comfort, and then they find themselves relaxing with what used to be the help. But back to you. You said you wanted to do a thing, so that was, yeah,
That was my
that was
thing.
the thing. Okay. I'm gonna save Sid for last this time. Normally I wanted to do him next, but then I went, no, do it different. Allegra.
Be a rebel.
Yeah, even to yourself. Never listen to yourself. You give bad advice.
So Allegra has been, on the lookout for uh, usually the most uncomfortable person, the most uncertain person,
Yep.
whoever's there, and
That's
when she
taken some
can,
doing, actually. That's really,
well, that's
yeah.
good, but especially early on,
Yep.
and before she tires out, and it's, as she's going around and humming as she starts talking to them to get the tuning going,
Yeah.
which, so as they talk to her, they start feeling better, and they start so she helps the relaxing and all. And as she gets tired, as people are more comfortable, and that's less needed, and of course, one of the things is people keep coming up to talk to her. So when she's drawing these people in, she gets them talking with all these people that are coming up to talk to Allegra,
Yeah.
and all to, and and of course they would recognize the social. This is how you do
Yeah.
make these connections, and so they would, even despite themselves with a little bit of fear as to who that is that they're talking to,
Yeah.
they know the signals and they know how to do that, and then realizing that they know how to do that, that makes them more comfortable again.
Yes.
And she moves to the next group.
Yeah.
But so after a while, Allegra makes her way over to
There's basically like a almost like a conga line behind you by the time you get where you're going, because everybody you react with just sort of drops in behind you. So
and she goes over to the
Like a
place where it's going to
centipede.
be the
Yeah.
most comfortable, where she can be the most comfortable,
Yeah.
because she's got very limited stamina and
Yep.
is starting to wind down, and
A nice picnic table in the vineyard, perhaps.
well, and as she gets herself sitting down, by the time she's sitting down, she looks, and there's a nice, beautiful, fresh cup of tea right there, and
Yep.
it's like, and she looks up to see who did it, to thank them and smile at them, and um, but she starts that her humming changes a little bit, and as she's getting tired and she feels like she's fading, the music kind of makes this little bit of a buffer around her, and it twines in and around with the various bards that are around,
Yeah.
and all to give her a little bit of space until, later in the evening, there's only like one or two people at a time, and they come in and they just stay for a little bit, chat with her a little bit, and leave before they tire her out, sort of thing. And so, all these people are getting a little bit of private time with Allegra as she's doing it.
Yeah.
And even that starts to slow down as her energy does, as she's buffered by, since the first time she's ever used the music this way, and she isn't really aware that she's doing it, but she is starting to realize that she can take care of herself too. That these things she's been doing to make other people comfortable, that it's okay for her to use it to make herself comfortable too. Which she's still here, she's still present, she's still engaged, but she can throttle it on her own terms.
Terrence steps into your bubble like it's not even there. And he just sits down beside you and starts to consciously hum a counterpoint to your melody. He doesn't know what he's doing, there's no magic involved. He's just sitting there humming with you.
And as she starts, sort of a counter harmony to his counter melody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when she's aware that she's humming with him and that we're doing this together. Because of course she had no idea she was humming before that.
Of course, yeah. All right.
She's going in. She just says, "That's so pretty. That's so restful. That's just exactly what I needed."
And then at the end of it, he very, very gently but very forcefully gets you through the party and to the house so that you can go and rest, because you've been awake for almost 2 days at this point.
That's true.
Yeah. So you can kind of hear the party in the distance behind you, but you can still feel it. You can still hear the music in your head.
And that has given me permission to rest.
And then you go up and get a well-earned rest with no guilt for the first time in forever. And guess what, Allegra? You're not a witch. Sid.
Sid spends most of the party kind of like, schmoozing with his new work buddies,
Yeah,
Tony
Barry shows up when the fun starts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when things start to quiet down, he goes and he looks for Stefano and Verite.
Yeah.
And he finds them, sprawled out on the lawn. And he sort of comes up so that they can both see him. And he's like, "I'd sit down with you, but I'm afraid that if I did, I'd split these pants. So I'm just going to stand here and say it."
Would you say, Stefano says, would you say it's uncomfortable standing there in those pants for you?
Almost as uncomfortable as it is you looking down at me from there.
Yeah, up. Yeah. Could you either back up a step or hang on? And he stands up. Yeah.
He kind of like shifts so his apron hides things.
Yeah. And Stefano takes this opportunity to stand back up.
And it makes it easier this way. He grabs Stefano by the hand. He's like, "Unpaid intern, how does Master of Innovation sound?" And he's dead serious.
That sounds like a job.
It is a job. And it's yours if you want it. And he looks down at Verite. "I've got one for Master of Design too, if you're curious. Probably won't stop what you're doing anyways, but at least now you'll get paid for it."
And I'm always curious. Stefano jumps back and he says, "The thing with jobs, those are tomorrow conversations."
Just wanted to get it out of the way. I got paperwork.
Yeah, you do.
Up with being a manager is every decision you make, there's a sheet of paper that needs your name on it. I just wanted to get this part out of the way so I can sign the papers in the morning. And he smirks again.
Yeah, I guess if you got to work, you might as well work with your best buddy. He looks over at Verite. He looks at you. He says, "And your mentor."
Well, you two have reminded me what exactly engineers do. They fix things.
"You know what else they do, Sid?" And Stefano throws his arm affectionately around your shoulders. "You know what else engineers do, Sid?" I don't know if he's ever called you Sid before to your face.
And he looks back at him. He's like, "They drink."
"Now you got it." And he turns and starts to walk you towards the bar. Verite does not go with you. Verite does that thing where he kind of just isn't there and you don't see him. You do not perceive. And then he stands up And he looks around and he takes a great big deep breath and a big sigh, like he's steeling himself to do something very, very brave. And he walks over to Felicity and he says, I never asked a lady before, but would you like to dance?
Felicity smiles, and she curtsies a little bit and says, "It would be my pleasure." And she kind of takes, takes him by the hand, and it's a mix of him leading and her leading, and
It turns out he is technically perfect. And if you ask
oh,
him, he took a lesson. So he's technically
a
perfect. He doesn't,
lesson.
he doesn't. It's verite. You got to show him once, right?
Yeah.
So he knows this dance, this particular
Yeah.
one. He knows.
Yeah. Felicity thoroughly enjoys that fact, though.
Yeah.
She finds it quite amusing. But yeah. And then I think, so I can tack something on
Yep.
to that.
Yep.
I think as that song ends, Felicity kind of strategically and like positions herself at the end of that song to swing over and grab Sid,
Yep.
like hook
Yep.
his elbow
Yep.
and pull him into a dance.
And Verite takes your lead and grabs Stefano and drags him out onto the dance floor as well. So the two of them are dancing.
Sid's stiff as fuck. You're gonna have to lead for him, but it doesn't take long for him to like really start to enjoy it. And I think as he does, the camera kind of like is sort of following the dance, and then it stops. And it stops at a table. And these tables, the tables at the dance floors, it's all been like people, getting up, sitting back down, chatting, have a drink. This table is full of ghosts. It's got all the people from Sid's shift, and then it's got his two parents, and they're just kind of sitting there, and no words are exchanged because, well, they're ghosts, right? And one by one, they start to stand up and leave. And as they leave, they disappear. Lucy stands up, gives Maxwell a kiss, pats his hand, and starts to walk away. And when Max stands, he looks at Sid, smiles, looks up, pulls a light switch, and that's
After almost everything else is done, Artemis comes out of the shadows. One arm around her follower, one arm around her new friend. The three of them are basically the mayor of downtown. They moved people back in. They painted the walls. They made it beautiful. They have done public art all over town, but you guys have been too busy to see it. And they just look around and nod. Coas's voice in her head says, Apollo would be proud. And the three of them turn around and walk away. Okay, I did that. I got through that. And that, with four amazing scenes, is where we're going to drop the... No, I take that back. It's where we're going to raise the curtain on a new world. And drop the curtain on the one that you left behind, because you guys changed this place infinitely. We changed the game infinitely. It was supposed to be 10 to 12 weeks. Look at us go. Uh, I normally do the future thing, like where you see yourselves in the future, but I don't know if we have to. Everybody is who everybody is. The four of you become, the upstanding pillars around which this place is built. Art is restored by Artemis, tech is restored by Sid, common human decency is restored by Allegra, and a sense of equality amongst all is brought in by Felicity. Everybody gets their people back. Eventually, Coas comes to visit, obviously. But I think we finish with that space shot again. It's dark now, and that drop falls into the darkness and hits that little spot of light that is the party, because the lanterns and the trees and everything else in an otherwise dark world. And this time the ring just takes that light with it and spreads across the globe. You did it. You won. You went from death to life. Congratulations. Yeah, the future looked like this whole thing. You're exactly right. This is exactly what the future looks like. But with that done, and I mean, it was going to take some doing to put an end on that story, and we did it. If anything, tonight was more epic than anything we've done before. But thank you all for that. I'm going to start the thank yous tonight with the one that isn't here, except in spirit, for Thunderscape. We know how hard you worked. We know how hard you tried. You were here every game, even the ones where you weren't here. And I hope beyond hope that I did you proud tonight with what I did with Artemis. I hope it's close to what you had in mind. Thank you for playing with us.
At least one of the palanquins has a hand reaching up with a gun.
Yes, it does.
Out of a cocoon in the corner.
Yes. Karis, thank you for Allegra. Sid said it in character, and he's absolutely right. Allegra was of this whole group of people, this caring group of people. They needed a heart. They needed something that just held everybody together and didn't judge anybody, and went just that figure of absolute support. And Fate's put you there at exactly the right time to play that perfect character. So thank you for Allegra. And the character arc with her finally resting as literally her last act in the story, that's beautiful. That is wrapping a character arc. Thank you for that. It's a pleasure to play with you. I look forward to the next time we get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Bison. Every one of your characters is interesting, and I push you and I push you and I push you when I play, because I know you got more in you. And Sid, I know, changed in a very important way that had nothing to do with the game. Who Sid is based on and how they think changed in the middle of this game. And I know the story. I'm not going to share it. It's not mine to share. But it changed, and Sid became a better person because of it. And I hope that affected the other way too.
Oh, that's its own story.
Yeah,
but
but it is always a joy, because all your characters always have arcs. Watching this one get thrown for a loop in the middle of the story, and having to become this totally different person, and figuring out at the very end that yes, you can be a Marxist and still do paperwork. It, it was a great ending to a story. So yeah, thank you for that. And Wayward, oh my goodness, Chris, Felicity, it was so much fun watching you and Felicity struggle to play that character. It was an absolute joy at the end to watch Chris get to come through and say, no, this was bullshit. I'm not wearing a ruff anymore. That's enough. You're not any better than anybody else. Mother, get down here and grab a cloth and wash the dishes with the rest of us. right? It was, and I'm glad I got to see that payoff at the end. It was an absolute great fun to watch because I know it was not easy for you to play that character, especially once I made you Lady Felicity. So thank you for that. Before I forget, thank you to Phil for playing Coas for the period of time that they did. He was the perfect match for this party, but weirdly enough, the fates intervened again, and it was the right time and the right place. Switching that manic energy of Coas skidding the metal beast down the hill completely out of control for Karis's energy of getting things done by simply needing them to be done. It was a real shift in the story and it was jarring, but it ended up working. So thank you to Phil for that first part. And in my head, there's 100 different ways that he came back to Venice after the story ends. But we'll leave all those on the what if table. Because there's a couple more thank yous. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do two in particular. K-Grams and Deku Lily. I think you watched every episode, if not of this show, of other shows. The two of you comment on YouTube, and it makes me smile every time. You are every bit as much of this show as these people here are. You have no idea how much it means. I've said it before. I like being watched. It's kind of a funny thing, but it's true. I love performing, and knowing that we made somebody's day better pays the mental bills in my head. So thank you for sharing the fact that we did that with you. It means something. Not lately. You know what? Not lately helps. You have still watched 100 more episodes than anybody else has. So thank you. But anyway, that's those specific thank yous that I don't normally do. General thank yous again. If you're watching this on the VOD, thank you for watching all the way to here. If you watched it on YouTube and you watched all the way to here, and I mean all the way to here, all the episodes all the way to here, please hit that like button and consider subscribing so you know. Not all our shows are this tear jerky. In fact, most of them aren't. So tune in to see some lighter stuff in the future, although let's face it, we'll end up here again because we always do. Everybody needs a good soap opera once in a while. But another thing I've never done before, but I'm going to do, because you're all sitting there smiling and all looking all smug like you're done for the night. Is there anything any of you would like to say before we go?
Thank you, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Like straight up, this.
I realized as I asked the question that looked like me sucking for compliments and shit.
Yeah.
But no.
No. This is,
we were all waiting for the chance.
This is honest. Kevin took a game system that none of us have used, using a mechanic that none of us have even close to tried. I mean, we use cards, folks. How many games have you played that use cards that aren't board games?
Yep.
And it was a very complicated system. We had some hiccups learning how to use it. And Kevin he delivered this amazing story for us. And yes, thank you. This was amazing. And I can't gush enough about how great the story you gave us was.
Oh, you're very welcome. I get paid by these faces right here. Look at that big smile. Yeah, that's how I get paid to do this. So anybody else? That's it? Nope. Okay, cool. In that case, the big one. I used it once, but then somebody else here uses the full statement, and I'm going to go with the full one tonight. If you've got the energy, be kind. If you don't, at least, until next time, please be nice to each other. Good night.
We'll see you next time.